everyone, welcome back to the Critic-Verse. Today we're going to do another breakdown and review for the latest episode of Wolfpack, which is Season 1, Episode 6, titled After Party. Before we get to the breakdown, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for weekly breakdown and reviews of Wolfpack or any other show I may cover on the channel. Now, let's get to the episode. The episode starts back at Tia's house after the events of last week, with everyone at the party hiding in the pool house, trying to see where the beast is, then arguing about what it actually is. Tia had way too many shrooms and tries to go outside, but Phoebe stops her despite not believing what she saw. And Luna advises everyone to back away from the windows. Everett runs into the pale guy from last episode, and he starts freaking out about not remembering his own name, while Everett tries to calm him down, but I kind of question the validity of this scene, but I'll get into that later. Luna tells Blake to turn the lights off and everyone gets low, but shroom facilitator Cody decides to go outside. Why? I don't know. Maybe he's showing off for Harlan, but Cyrus tells him to go because nobody even knows him at that party. He does, but comes back out of fear, but says he's too high to drive home. But his own friend snaps at him, saying that they took an Uber there, which he tells her to shut up. Austin snaps at Tia after she calls the beast a possum and tells everyone Everett also knows what it is. Blake tries to stop Austin, but Everett seemingly goes along with it. All eyes are now on Everett. He tells people the beast out there was the same thing that was on the highway in the first episode. Luna tells Everett to tell them the truth, which they then cut to the intro. We then pick back up with Ramsey, where she was from last week's episode, telling Garrett over the phone that the guard never came back with a key. But he tells her Jang found something in Cyrus's room and they need her to see it. She disturbingly admires the bloody flashlight from when she killed the guard. Now back at Tia's house, Everett is telling everyone the truth, or so it seems. He then starts to tell everyone that the beast killed Connor, and Austin wants him to say it, but Everett tells everyone it was a bear instead, much to Harlan's relief and Luna's dismay. But Austin takes it the hardest and practically tries to rush to attack Everett before some people hold him back. But he flips out on everyone because he just wanted to hear someone else say it, because he felt crazy for even thinking it. Everett then asks everyone where'd the blonde kid go, and no one has any clue who he's talking about. Cyrus offers to go outside and look for him. Now this definitely was to impress Harlan, and Harlan even offers to go with him. But Cyrus doesn't believe there's anything actually out there, even though he was the one that pointed out that he did saw something earlier. Luna asks Everett why he lied, but then theorizes that he did it for the pack, to which he confirms, saying that they don't want people to know what they are, and Luna says it's his secret now too. In another part of the house, Blake and Phoebe bump into each other and finally talk it out on why she stopped being friends with her, why she doesn't have a phone. And speaking of which, why Blake doesn't have a phone did go against the theory that I had on why, but essentially her family imploded when her dad went through her mom's phone and found proof she was cheating on him, and she blames the phone and not her mom. Phoebe is actually the first and so far only person that Blake has told this. And just then, police sirens flash as the cops show up. In the next scene, Ramsey and Garrett are on their way to Tia's house, and Ramsey performs a one-handed rounds check on her gun, and it was super badass. Garrett then reminds her that his kids are there before she goes guns a-blazing, but she throws it back at him since he's also carrying 2 guns. Officer Jang is at Tia's door asking for Cyrus. Blake then asks if he has a warrant. Jang shines a flashlight in her face, saying her pupils are dilated, highlighting her drug usage. Blake makes a joke about sharing dirty needles. But then Garrett shows up asking for Harlan and Luna, and Jang goes in, calls for Cyrus, while Everett tells Garrett that the beast is there. We then see Cyrus and Harlan in the woods, almost flirting, and Harlan is trying to listen out for the beast. They then start to kiss, but Harlan hears the beast and they decide to head back. While walking back, Cyrus makes an offhand comment about Harlan's friends not accepting him into their pack, which that and the no caller ID thing really freaks Harlan out. But then, right behind Cyrus, you can see the beast's stature. The beast is then right behind him, and he freaks out after he turns around and sees that it's definitely not a bear. Ramsey then shows up right behind Harlan, appearing first from her gun going right over Harlan's shoulder. How he didn't hear her is beyond me. She tells them both to run and then fires off a warning shot. Back at the house, everyone hears the gunshot and Garrett takes off while the cops hold back all the teenagers. Garrett then draws his weapon, which is filled with silver bullets. Harlan and Cyrus are almost back at the house when they see a bunch of cops calling Cyrus's name, and Harlan gets a text from Luna telling him they came to arrest Cyrus. Back with Ramsey, she starts to talk to the beast, saying she doesn't want to hurt it and that she's not afraid, but she will defend herself, and you can hear the beast circling her. She then offers to help it, and the beast responds in a human voice. She begins to lower her weapon, but just then the other officers show up, scaring the beast away. Then Garrett is in the woods and has his own encounter with the beast. He fires at it and wings it in one of its arms, but doesn't kill it. And on the look his face gives off, he is shocked at what he sees. But we don't get to see it as the audience. Back at the house, Ramsey, Garrett, and Zhang reconvene, and both Ramsey and Garrett lie that it was a bear. And this doesn't help Austin, but Garrett wants to know where Harlan is. Luna is driving Blake and Everett home, all of them wondering where Harlan took Cyrus. Luna makes a remark about Blake having no phone, but Blake lets it slide. Everett wonders about the unnamed kid and says the night isn't over and the beast could still kill. In the next scene, Cyrus and Harlan are in the Briggs barn. Cyrus tries to joke, but Harlan wants to talk about the no caller ID thing. Cyrus says he blocked his number because someone else was calling him from a blocked number, which doesn't sound believable. The caller was telling Cyrus about how his dad really died, but Cyrus didn't believe it. Harlan then uses his wolf hearing to determine if Cyrus is telling the truth, asking him to repeat it over 3 times, which I then believe he does figure out he's telling the truth. After that, we see Everett get home to find his dad waiting for him with a large amount of prescriptions sitting on the counter and a daily pill box. He goes over all the medication he has to take and notes that Everett hasn't been taking his own medication and that he keeps count, saying he's been having good days, but that he should still take them because he never knows when he's not going to have a good day. And it seems he and Everett either have a similar diagnosis or it was just Everett's pill that he was making a point on, because Everett then takes the pill. But afterwards, Everett goes to the bathroom and spits the pill out, checking his hands to see if his tremor is still happening, but he's steady and almost has a look of confidence in the mirror. Everett shows up at Blake's motel room and she opens the door before he even knocks. He also makes a remark about her not having a phone and starts to lean in for a kiss. But she walks away to put some distance between them and asks Everett if he wants to know why she doesn't have a phone, and she'll tell him. I guess since she opened up to Phoebe, she feels close enough to Everett to do the same. Everett says she doesn't have to tell him anything, which makes her happy, and replies that she'll get a phone if he wants her to. He then says she doesn't need one just to get in touch with him, which makes her even happier, and the two start kissing. But given the predicament they're in, Everett definitely should have told her to get one. Back at the barn, Harlan and Cyrus stare into each other's eyes while in sleeping bags, before Cyrus turns around and puts Harlan's arms around him in a really tender moment between the two. Then we switch to Tia's house. Phoebe is tucking Tia in on her couch, to which Tia starts reciting Phoebe's voicemail / first hit single, but after Phoebe made up with Blake, Phoebe then takes it as a joke. Phoebe then decides to go for a swim all alone, and she starts to hear sounds around her before the beast confronts her. Next, we see Austin sleeping it off on another couch in Tia's house, when he's awakened by the sound of Phoebe's body sliding off the glass ceiling. R.I.P. Phoebe. Back at the Briggs residence, Ramsey is staring at the barn, almost like she knows Cyrus and Harlan are in there. But Prisha comes in and lies about Harlan being upstairs, drunk and asleep. Ramsey pushes back, but Prisha stands firm. But both Garrett and Ramsey go back and forth on whether or not it was really a bear that they saw. Kristen doesn't like that Garrett wants to kill it, which you can see on the look on her face. In the next scene, the pack is in the barn in the morning talking to Cyrus about the mystery caller, and we learn that due to the nature of his death, Cyrus used to get a ton of conspiracy calls about what really happened to his father. Cyrus also then reveals that there was a survivor. One of the hotshot crew didn't die that night, and he now works as an orderly at the hospital. His name is Malcolm, and he says a wolf really killed the hotshot crew and not the fire. Officer Zhang walks into Ramsey's office furious and says Phoebe never made it home. Ramsey correlates it to Harlan also not being able to be found. Zhang believes Harlan is a suspect or an accomplice and points out all the connections to Cyrus, but Garrett denies it, and Zhang and Garrett get into, let's call it, a staring contest and bring up the good friends joke that Garrett made last week. The pack then goes to the hospital where they ask Malcolm, who works as an orderly, about the fire. He denies what he said to Cyrus and tells them to fuck off until they bring up werewolves. Back at the house, Garrett and Prisha are loading their weapons full of silver bullets. Prisha wants to tell the kids that she knows, and that they don't know if silver bullets actually work, but Garrett says they work, and that he saw something last night that changes everything. Malcolm takes the pack to an abandoned part of the hospital and starts to tell them what really happened. And that on the night of the wildfire, all those years ago, the only safe path out of the fire was blocked by a huge gray wolf. And that the hotshot crew killed it with the firearms they had, but the body was still breathing, so they threw it into the fire. But the fire didn't fully kill the wolf. What it did was transform it into the beast that they saw. But then, the crew wasn't killed by that wolf either. After finding out about Phoebe and having Harlan blamed for everything going on, Garrett goes to confront Cyrus in the barn and asks him whether he started the fires. Cyrus says no, and Garrett believes him and tells him that Cyrus is going to have to convince those on the task force as well, possibly by turning himself in. Back at the hospital, they theorize that the wolf was protecting its pack, and its mate is the one that actually killed the wolves. But Malcolm never saw it happen, he just heard it because he ran. The pack then goes back to the Briggs residence and theorizes the hotshot crew killed their mother and their father actually killed the hotshot crew. But Everett notes Harlan said he saw their father as a regular wolf, and that the latest wildfire is what turned him into a beast. They then theorize that the mysterious caller might be the arsonist who knows what fire can do to a werewolf, but that's also why he set the fire in the first place. Harlan then notices the barn door open with the light on and runs to check on Cyrus. Harlan finds Garrett in an empty barn and asks where Cyrus is. He told him he turned him in and he had to do it, and that Cyrus will tell his truth and be set free. But Harlan punches Garrett. Harlan's rage begins to take over, but not just him. The whole pack's eyes begin to glow, their fangs come out, and all of them start growling at Garrett. Just then, Prisha comes in with the silver bullet rifle. But Garrett gets Harlan to calm down by shouting out his name, which he addresses as a myth that if you call a werewolf by its given name, it brings them back. Garrett also reveals that the wolf isn't their father. The other night, when he shot the wolf, it transformed back into the blonde kid that Everett saw. And that he's not their father, but he's their brother. And that Everett goes on to say that he couldn't remember his name. And Everett somehow does know the kid's name. And his name is Baron. And the episode ends on that. Wow, I just continue to love this show week after week with another banger episode. This one was titled After Party, referring to the fact that it picks up right after the party from last week's episode. A couple thoughts I had on the episode. For one, I think Everett was talking to Baron. He wasn't actually there. I say this because in the scene, when it switched to a different angle from behind Blake, Baron isn't there. And then also, no one else at the party saw him. Just Everett. Which I don't know what the correlation is with that for now. But I will think we will find out later. I felt really bad for Austin, for one, because he just wants someone else to confirm what he saw. To know he's not crazy, but he keeps getting gaslit by the people who know that he's definitely telling the truth. And previously, I theorized Blake's no phone thing on her issues with her acne, but turns out it was much deeper into her own family trauma. But interestingly enough, she doesn't blame her mom for cheating, but blames the object for revealing her mom's infidelity. The scene where Everett's father hints at a past moment Everett may have when he went off his meds. Everett credits his lycanthropy for curing his anxiety, but Everett might have a moment in the final 2 episodes of the season that shows the danger of a werewolf with his condition and what that might be. The actor that played Malcolm was a Teen Wolf alum, Gideon Emery, who played the demon wolf Deucalion, Alpha of the Alpha Pack. The Season 3A antagonist, who was teased by the show's creator Jeff Davis, which everyone did think he may have been talking about Ian Bohen, because the voice of the mysterious caller does sound like him over the phone. Jeff also carries over the myth of a given name curing a werewolf, which is used in Teen Wolf for the Season 2 and 5B antagonist. Well, everyone, that's all the thoughts I have on this week's episode. Can't wait for the final 2. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you all again next time on the Critic-Verse.